Hello everyone, my name is Kaluna Spitfire and I'm a variety streamer on Twitch. One of my favorite games to play is 7 Days to Die and I love to use the Twitch integration with that. But I also really like to mod it and make some of my own spawns so that I spice things up for my chat from time to time. Today I'm going to show you how to create your own entity, several different types so that you can see how I go about doing it, and create my own spawn out of that. So previously in other videos I've shown how to take what already exists in the game and create a spawn from that of your own, perhaps like a zoo. And you might want to go watch some of those videos first to make it a little bit easier to understand. But for this, we're going to be diving into the entity classes and really showing how to create something new. Let's dive in. So, very first thing you're going to want to do is come into your Steam and go to Manage and go to Browse Local Files. That is going to open up this, and you're going to go to Data, Config, and you're going to open up a couple different files just for reference. You are not going to edit these files. You are going to use them as a reference and to find pieces to copy. And you're going to just right click and do Notepad++. I highly recommend using Notepad++. If you've never used it before, I will put a video at the top so that you can reference how to get that. It's free and it makes it a lot easier. So I would do Twitch, I would do sounds, I would do loot, entity classes, and game events. Those are the ones that I would reference the most in this particular case. You might also want blocks, and depending on what you are doing. I have also already preset my mod folder, and I have an example one free for download on my Ko-fi. So feel free to go grab one there. I have that link down in the description below. That just basically has an empty one. When you get your empty one, you're gonna unzip it and then pop it into your mod folder. And this way you're editing this file, not the game files directly. That way if you make a mistake and things like that, you're not ruining anything. You can always start over and fix it. So I'm going to call this 3 Little Pigs because I'm going to make a 3 Little Pigs spawn. All right. Once you're in there, you're going to open up your mod info. You're going to open up your entity classes, your game events, and your Twitch. I, in this case, am not going to show you how to do a specific loot crate, so we don't need that one. Once you have everything opened up, it should look something like this. I have my mod info file, I have my entity classes, my game events, and my Twitch events, and they are currently empty. See, I have it written here, add your mod stuff here. Then here are all the reference files that I am working with. The very first thing I'm going to do is create my entity. Because before you do anything else, you want to create the entity, test it out, make sure that works before you go ahead and create a game event and a Twitch file. The order that you do it is you create your entity, you test that it works. Once that works, then you create a game event, you test that that works. Once that works, then you create a Twitch and make sure that that's showing up properly. If you've done it in that order and you test at each of those stages, you should have fewer problems, and also you'll know where the problem is before there's any other issues. Very first thing I'm going to do is create my mod info file because it just needs to have this file. So we're going to do it, save it, and get rid of it. So it's out of the way. I'm going to call this 3 Little Pigs. Keep in mind, you don't want spaces in this top name. The second one, you can have spaces, 3 Little Pigs. I'm going to do spawns 3 Little Pigs and a big bad wolf. And save. And I'm going to close out of that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the regular entity classes folder. And I'm going to do Control F. And it's going to pop up the find. And I'm going to type in boar, not boat, boar. Once you've found it, you're going to copy it until you get to the end of the entity class, because that's the entire animal. So in this case, you're copying and you have a regular boar. I'm going to start with doing a little pig with sticks. Okay. And in this extends, because I want it to be exactly like the boar, and I just want to change a couple of things, I'm going to actually do animal boar, because then what it's going to do is it's going to emulate exactly the boar unless I say a couple things to change. So I do want user spawn type menu. I do want that. The tags can be all the same. Map icon is all the same. Is enemy entity, we want that to be true. We want it to be true. Okay, because it's going to be a spawn through Twitch, so we definitely want that to be true. All right, and all of these other things are going to be exactly the same as the boar. So we're going to get rid of that. Same thing with the sounds. That's going to be the same. Gameplay is going to be mostly the same. I think I'll leave this, but what you could do is you could change the hand item, and I want to show how to do that. And then I'm going to change what they harvest into, and I'm going to change their health. So we can get rid of the nav objects because that's going to stay the same, and the dismember because that's going to stay the same. Okay. First thing we're going to go do, clean this up just a little bit. We're going to go back to entity classes, and we're going to go Control F to do our find, and we're going to do size until we get a certain thing. Here we go. This is called size scale. So this is one of the more common things you're going to want to be able to do is change the size of your entity. And I want a little pig, right? So I'm going to make him little. Now I'm going to do 0.5. So that means it's going to be half the size of the regular boar. Now what other things you could do is you could change the hand item. I'm going to show you some of the options. Just type in hand item and you can see what there are. Melee hand player, so that's like if a person in the game is punching, how much damage that would do. Melee hand zombie, that's how much damage a zombie would do. There's several different types of those. Different types of zombie hits, how hard they hit, all of that. Cops, how much they hit, right? All these different types, how hard a demo hits. A little bear, how hard a zombie bear hits. Maybe you want a boss to hit that hard. A wolf is what it normally hits as, but you could change this to be a dire wolf, so it's slightly harder, and maybe that's what we'll do for this one right here. So we're going to change it to be that. A lot of my bosses end up hitting like bears because I like how difficult that is, but you could change it to be this. Whatever hand item, as long as it matches the same thing that you find in one of the entity classes, it's a hand item, they will then hit that way. And then for harvest, because it's the little pig made of sticks, what we're going to do is we're going to copy this one here, and we're going to put underneath it an extra one because I want it to drop wood. So I'm going to go into the loot menu now and resource wood. I've already actually looked it up recently, and I'm going to copy the name of that. And we're going to go back to our entity classes, and instead of resource phone, I'm going to copy and paste the resource wood. And then you can say how much you want for it to harvest. So when I'm harvesting this little pig, it's going to give me wood as well as everything else, because that's just the theme, right? The little pig that builds his house out of sticks might drop wood. And then for his health, I want to set his health to like twice that of a normal pig so that it's a boss kind of, right? Because we're going to make the 3 little pigs and a big bad wolf, and that's going to be the group spawn for this particular adventure. All right, I've got this guy, and I'm going to copy him because he's going to be very similar to the next little pig. Make sure that your entire thing has entity class here at the top and ending entity class here. If you're missing one of these, it will break. So you do want to have all of that. That will have been included from when you copied it, as long as you copied the entire thing. And of course, yours could be a different kind of animal, a different kind of zombie, whatever. This is just an example of how you could take one that already exists and change it. Okay, next I'm gonna make the little pig bricks. And we want the size scale. We want the size scale to stay the same. We want the dire wolf hand item to stay the same, but we want to change the resource that gets harvested to be, there's no more bricks in the game this way. It's just a paint item. So we're gonna do cobblestone instead. So we're looking for the one that says resource cobblestone. Copy that. We're gonna put that here. The health is gonna stay the same. Now we'll copy again. Get the last little pig in there. Straw. Everything's the same, except we're gonna go to loot, and this time I want it to be fibers. Oops. I'm gonna go resource, Yucca. Okay, what it might be is in blocks. So I'm gonna look in blocks, resource Yucca. Here we go. Resource Yucca. I don't know actually why it's called Yucca fibers, but when you punch, it's just like the normal plant fibers, but they call it Yucca fibers even though there's a Yucca plant. I don't know why it's called that, but it is. All right, there we go. So we've got our 3 there. The next one we're going to do is we're actually going to do the wolf. So we're looking for the wolf, coyote. It's going to be above coyote. I think. Dire wolf right here. Let's take a dire wolf. That sounds good. And so we're going to go all the way to the end of the entity class. Copy that. Give us a couple spaces. And we're going to then name this one Big Bad Wolf. And it's going to extend the animal dire wolf. Because we want it to be exactly like the dire wolf except for a couple things. So we still want this to be true. All of this is going to be the same. It's already got the size scale, and I want it to be twice the size because I want it to be a big bad wolf, right? So the size is going to be bigger. All of the AI is going to be the same. All of this is going to be the same, but you could change some of these if you want to play with any of these properties. The hand item I want to change. You could change how much experience you gain from killing them and everything. And then I don't care about the harvest items for the wolf because that's not the theme, but I do want to change their health, so I will leave that. Okay, and so for the big bad wolf, what I would like to do is actually make it the hand item bear hand, I think it's called. Bear. Look at the bear. Let's see. Oh, I just saw it backwards. All right, melee hand, animal bear. Copy that. It's gonna go there. We've already got our size scale. Let's see. And I want our base health to be twice of this, so 6,000. And then what I'm going to do is save. Next thing is I'm going to test this. Because of where I have it, it's going to be a local game thing, so I can test whether this exists or not. Okay, once you spawn in, you're going to press F1, then type DM, enter, and that's going to bring you to debug menu. Press F1 again to make that menu disappear, and then Q, and you'll be in God mode. Then you're going to do Control F6, and this brings up the Spawn Entities menu, and you're going to look up what you just created. So I'm going to look up pig. All right, hi little piggy. F1, you can do kill all. And then what we're going to really test is to see if it drops cobblestone, which it does. Okay, do the next one, Control F6, sticks. You're also gonna make sure by looking that it's the size you want, things like that, and that it attacks. Right. And then I carve it up and it gives me wood. That's what the sticks one should give me. Then we're gonna do it again and kill this one and carve it up. And this gives me the plant fibers, which is what we want it to do. And then we're going to look up the big bad wolf. And that's a big bad wolf. Hello. Hi, buddy. And he definitely attacks. I was a little close to him, that's why. Okay. There we go. And he doesn't need to drop anything in particular. So we've got some working spawns. If it doesn't have the butcher that you want, if it didn't do that, maybe the resource isn't one that you can butcher, or maybe it wasn't the size you want, so you want to adjust it for health, or maybe it wasn't as big as you wanted it, or as small as you wanted it, so you want to make those adjustments. Maybe you try it out without God mode by undoing Q, and you can see how difficult it is to fight. And maybe it's too difficult, and so you want to change the hand item or the health based on that. And you can, of course, change all of those things. The next file that we're going to do is the game events file in here. Now, I've shown people how to do game events before, but I'm going to find and model how to find the exact grouping that I want to do. So in game events, I'm going to do Control F to find, and I'm going to do spawn group. Yeah, this one. All right, so this is the basic spawn group that all of the other spawn groups are based off of. So I'm going to copy the entire game event. I'm going to adjust it. The key thing is that there's always things that already exist that you can copy and then modify to fit your needs. Just make sure you're following the rules that a lot of these can do. So if you have a certain value, then you can copy that. If there's no property that's listed in this file, you probably can't pull from it, right? If it's in a different file, you have to reference that other file. But if it already exists in the game events file, for example, you could create your own property for the creature that you're doing so that it has that particular property, whatever you're trying to make it do. In this particular case, we want to call this 3 little pigs. Allow user trigger. We want that to be true because we want to be able to trigger that in the menus. Property name, category, Twitch actions, that's perfect. We have an entity. Now we could say when this entity happens. I just want to be able to do this and change it based on Twitch file. So I'm going to just get rid of that because I think that's more information that I need, because I want it to look exactly the way I have it set up. So I'm going to get rid of this and simplify it. Okay, I'm going to change the sound to a boar alert because I know there's a boar alert, but if you weren't sure, you could totally open up the sounds file and find the alert that matches what you want it to sound like. All right, and now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 spawns. If you need to make another one, you can always copy this and add another one in if you have a 5th or a 6th or whatever. But I have 4, so this works for me. Now, if you have something that flies, you will want to have this say true. I don't have anything that flies, so I'm actually going to make this false for all of them. Make sure it's there for all of them. Okay, and then some of these have like spawn count and extra ones, so at certain game stages it would get more. I don't want that because I want it to be exactly the 3 little pigs, right? I don't want it to change because we're going for memes. All right, so once you've gotten it to be the simplified way that you want it to be and it has all the pieces that you want, what you're going to do, oh, I do want this property of how many we want to spawn because we only want 1. But if you want more than 1, you could have more than 1 of, so say you wanted 3 Arlenes or, you know, 6 bears or 3 of our little pigs that do sticks, you could do it. I want mine to all be 1 and every single time to be 1. Nothing different, but you could have it be different. All right, then what you're going to do is you're going to reference your entity classes that you made and copy the name of the things that you called it. So I called it this. I'm just going to copy and paste them so that there's no accidental spaces or capital differences or anything like that. It's always the best way because a capital changes everything, and it will cause it to be a problem if it's not right. Okay, so I have all of mine, 1, none of them are air spawns, and that's exactly what I want it to be called, is 3 little pigs. But you're gonna wanna save this, and we're gonna actually test this game event before we go ahead and do the Twitch file. So you're gonna hop back in the game one more time. Okay, once you're back in the game, again, you're going to F1, DM, F1 again, and back into God mode. This time you're going to do Shift F6. This is going to bring you to the game events menu. We're going to look up 3 little pigs. It's going to appear here, and you're going to press it, and now you're in God mode, so you should be able to press spacebar as well, and make sure we've got the 3 little pigs, and we've got a big bad wolf. We can do kill all. And we can test that these are all pigs we want. That's the one with wood. That's the one with straw. Oops, I'm going too fast. And that's the one with cobblestone. So that's exactly what we want it to be, and that's working. If yours isn't what you want it to be, it's not looking right, things aren't spawning incorrectly, they spawn too many, they spawn too few, something like that, then you're going to want to go into the files and see what maybe you did wrong. Or if it's not showing up in your menu at all, then you probably didn't include that piece that I said before that you needed, which is allow user trigger to be true. So make sure that that says true. Now we're going to work on the Twitch files, and you can probably copy something that you've done before. There we go. So this is my demo crew one, but I'm just going to adjust, and you can include the properties that are important to you. What you can also do is go into the Twitch file and copy one that you like. This is like the base one, right? But there's a lot of pieces that I tend to include, and I've shown this in my previous video about creating your own spawn. So this should be familiar, but there's a lot of different options that you can pull from as different properties that you want to include. So I have the ones that I want to include here, but you could maybe pull from different ones. So I want this to then be called Twitch. I'm going to call it Little Pigs. I'm going to call this, I want this command to be somewhat simple because this is the command that they'll use to spawn it if they type it. Game stage 50 is fine because this is going to be a difficult one. I want this, the event name is whatever your game event is called. So this is where we had copied it before. Paste that right in. I do highly recommend the copy paste from it so that you don't have any capitalization errors. How much do you want this to be, bits, PP, or SP? How much do you want it to cost? Now the option is that you could also trigger this on your Twitch events file. I do have another video showing how to do things for the Twitch events file. So if you wanted to spawn for charity, if you wanted to spawn for, you know, whenever somebody subs, things like that, you could have it trigger there instead, or in addition, you could have it be an option for both. So, and then if you do have it for bits or SP or PP, then how much? Is it positive? This one is definitely not a good thing, so it's going to stay false. It is going to add to the cooldown. I'll say 200 is fine because it's similar to my demo one. The cooldown, I think I want this one to be like every 2 minutes. So I'm going to make it 120 seconds. I do want it to be blocked during cooldown and during waiting periods, and add to the vote cooldown. So respawn is if you die before you've killed these, will it respawn? And I do want it to happen up to 3 times. And I only want it to be able to be spawned on me. I don't want it to be able to be spawned on my friends. So streamer only, I do want to be true. And I want this to be available for all different presets. So I am going to leave that one. I'm going to press save, and we're going to hop back in the game. Make sure you've closed the game in between all of these. So make sure that your files get a chance to update properly. Otherwise, you may find that things aren't working and then you edit them, but really they are working. You just didn't close the game down all the way. So make sure you're closing the game down all the way in between. It is a little bit tedious, but I promise you, you will have less errors in the long run. Now for this, you're going to press escape and go to options and Twitch. You're going to log in. It's going to open onto a different screen. If you have a second monitor like I do, just go ahead and activate. I'm not going to showcase it because it has different information about my stream. And then make sure that you're also having the extension on so that you can fully get this. It will give you a warning if you don't have the extension on and open it up for you. I highly recommend having use progression off and saying no for this, and make sure you're on the action presets that you have your item set for. Once you've applied all of that, back on out and go to this little cog wheel. You should see the thing that you've created here at the top or somewhere in here. These are all the ones I've made. Boop, Demo Crew, Cluna Only, Flash Mob. These are mine, and Three Little Pigs is my most recent. It should say how much it costs and how long the cooldown is for and when it starts, which game stage, and is it positive as well. So in here you could even decrease it for a sale if you want to. But this is what it's going to be, just like normal. You can, of course, disable it in here, just like any other action, and enable it as you like. If it's not appearing there, then you have something wrong with your Twitch file. Bit items you can't test just by like typing in chat, but if you have you could always adjust the file to be SP or PP. Initially and change it to bits later if it's a bit action, and then just make sure you're on both for this, for the integration type, and do hashtag set cooldown to 0, and then if it appears in here, so because mine's a bit item, it doesn't appear in the list because you can't type it in chat. However, if you made it a SP item or a PP item, you would be able to see it in this drop down, and then you could of course type in your chat to test that it spawns in. When you're satisfied, you can exit on out and you should be good to go. Now once you've made your file, your mod file, if you have a server, you can then go ahead and upload it to your server. If you don't, then it should be safe to keep right in this mod folder and ready to use. I hope you found that helpful. This is, of course, just one example of what you can do to create your own spawn, your own entity. You can adjust many, many aspects of entities, but this is just one simple way to look at how to adjust entities by size, by how hard they hit, by what they drop, things like that. There are many other ways, but you can go ahead and explore that entity class file and see what other options there are in there and try things out. A lot of what doing XML editing is trial and error, so don't be afraid to get your hands a little bit dirty and try something different and see if it works. If it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. Just a little bit of time and practice. And I hope you guys enjoy, have fun making things for your own chat, and see you guys in the next one.